I avoided making this video as much as I could, but I can't no longer. I have to address this issue. By the end of last year, I made a video addressing some of the things that were going on, clarifying some things, but I didn't get into many details. And I thought that would be enough. I wouldn't have to talk about it anymore because I didn't want to. But that is not something I can run away from anymore. There are some issues that I need to clarify, that I need to talk about. I am not making this video to throw shade at another creator or to attack another creator. This video is a self-reflection. It's about the mistakes that I made and correcting some of them and clarifying some of the things that happened. Everything that I did, everything that I said, the bad decisions that I make, I take full responsibility for. I wasn't blackmailed, no one put a gun in my head. I just want to make that clear so people don't think that I am trying to put responsibility on somebody else for the mistakes that I did. I take full responsibility, and what I think deserves an apology, I will apologize for throughout this video. Now let's start with where I stand right now. As I said in my video last year, I am no longer friends with Steve McRae. I'm not associated with him anymore, but I would still work with him on a professional level as a fellow creator. Apparently, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to have anything to do with me. Fine by me, his loss. Another thing is I am not part of any anti-Steve McRae group. So I know Steve. He might try after this video, try to brush me as a troll, as a hater. Fuck that. I am any of that. I am still the same person that I was. I simply started realizing some things about Steve, and that's why I'm no longer associated with him. And in this video, you know exactly why. I don't think I can even cover that in one video because it's honestly a lot of stuff. So I'll cover the basics. One important thing is to understand how I became friends with Steve in the first place. Now, the reason why has a lot to do with the fallout of the Non Sequitur show. Now at that time, I made a video about it and I don't really have anything to retract from that video. There are a few corrections that I have already corrected, but overall, I stand by that video. I didn't have any new information that contradicts what I said in that video. If you want to know what happened, you can watch that video. There are other creators that made videos about it, and you can watch those if you want to know more about what has happened in the Non Sequitur show. The thing that it is important for this video is that when there was the breakup and a lot of patrons and subscribers migrated from the Non Sequitur show to Steve McRae's channel, there was an idea of starting a new show, a rebirth of the Non Sequitur show, if you will, which will bring the show back to its origins, which were hangouts and interviews and debates about philosophy, about science, about politics. And Steve has invited me to be a host in that show, and he has welcomed me in his inner circle. Now, there was a Twitter group called the Super Secret Cabal where Steve McRae's close friends would hang out and discuss what we were going to do next about this new show, about this new channel. And this was also something that the subscribers and patrons who followed Steve really wanted to see. They wanted like this highbrow content about these interesting topics. I was fully on board on that and I was excited to be part of that. The problem was there was a lot of talk and very little action. Now it's true that at that time there were some very interesting hangouts with Landon Knoll, for example, on Steve's channel. I was in a few great hangouts. I was in a hangout with Sisyphus Redeemed. I was in a hangout with Lizzie Lang. I was in a hangout with Faye the Most Gracious. There was some pretty good stuff going on, but it was very sporadically. Most of the time, it was Steve talking about the Non Sequitur show. So the highbrow content didn't really happen. Not on the scale that Steve said he wanted. And that is why in my video last year, I said that you said you didn't want to do drama videos, but all you do is drama videos. It's because there was a progression in that. It started with some interesting hangouts and then it just became drama after drama. So there was a disappointment on Steve as a creator, as him saying that he wanted something, but actually taking a completely different direction from what he said he wanted and what he invited me to be part of. A lot of patrons, a lot of subscribers felt the same way. They felt like Steve bullshitted them about this stuff, and they are no longer subscribers or patrons of him because of that. So I'm not the only person that feels this way. So that was one of the reasons why I was disappointed with Steve. He's not the only one, but it's one of the reasons. Now, I didn't know Steve. I didn't know his background. I didn't know his history. When I met him, all I knew is that he was one of the hosts of the Non Sequitur show. That's what I knew about him. I didn't know anything else. So when people come to me and say about his past and shit, I didn't know that. I was new to the community. I was new on this platform. I didn't know anything. So that one I say is my first mistake. I took him on his word. I didn't know this guy, and I assumed that what he was telling me about this channel, that he wanted to do this channel, was true. Now, one of the things that Steve promised me is that he was going to help grow my channel. He was going to get me a lot of subscribers. Now, to some extent he did. I maybe have 300 to 400 subscribers that came from his Hangouts. But thinking back now, as a smaller creator, you kind of put yourself in a pretty bad situation when you do that, when you accept something like that. You shouldn't be associated with someone just because they say they're going to give you subscribers. And this is something that I recommend to all of you who have small channels that are starting on YouTube. Don't put yourself in that position. It's very, very bad, because you feel like you are in debt to this bigger creator and they can't manipulate you. As I said, everything I did was my responsibility. I wasn't blackmailed. He didn't put a gun in my head, but I did some things that I normally would have never done. And thinking back now, I feel embarrassed for doing it. For example, one of the things that Steve had asked me to do was to talk to bigger creators and ask them to do a commentary about the Non Sequitur show. And like a fucking idiot, and I feel very embarrassed for it, I did that. I did send private messages to some big creators that I had rapport with, asking them to do a commentary about the Non Sequitur show, because Steve asked me to do it. Now, to all of the creators that I put in that situation, and you know who you are, I deeply apologize. I feel like a fucking idiot for doing that, and I feel deeply, deeply embarrassed. I was a complete noob when I did that, and I didn't know how this YouTube thing works. And now I understand how impolite and how indecorous it is to do that to another creator, to put another creator into that situation. You don't do that. Steve has been around on the platform for quite a while. He knows that. And I feel that in some sense he used me when he asked me to do that. And like a fucking idiot, I did what he asked me to do. So this is something I am very embarrassed about, and something that I apologize to all creators that I put into that situation. I hope you can forgive me. And there is another problem with the whole subscriber thing, because since I feel that many of my subscribers came from his channel, you kind of feel a little bit restrained to make direct criticism to the guy, because you might lose subscribers. And that is another thing that after all this time on YouTube, I stopped giving a fuck about. But this is the way that I can maintain my creative freedom. And now I can make a video criticizing him, talking exactly how I feel and how I felt about him in the past few months without worrying about it. If I'm gonna lose 200-300 subscribers because I'm criticizing Steve, so be it. I don't care. Other subscribers will come in the future as I put out my content. I have confidence in my content. I know the content of my channel is good, and subscribers will come when they watch my videos. I don't need to kiss anyone's ass to maintain subscribers or to get subscribers, and I feel like I did some of that, and I feel disgusted for doing that. I feel really embarrassed for doing that. No more ever again. For example, I said on Twitter that Steve is one of the best debunkers out there. I said that because he was my friend, because I wanted to lift him up a little bit. And I don't want to put him down like some people do. He has knowledge about some topics. He had some very good hangouts that I've seen him. He has debunked Kent Hovind a few times, but he's not on the same level that some debunkers out there that I even quoted in my tweets, like for example Cool Hard Logic or Professor Dave Explains, one of the best debunkers out there. So he's not on the same level of those people, and he knows that. But the biggest problem with Steve that took me some time to acknowledge is how he handles critics and criticism in general. It's very, very bad. In one of his videos about essence of thought, Noah Plum has made a very, very spot-on commentary about what is the problem with essence of thought. Amusing that he, Noah's referring to Steve Shives here, uses entirely different justification to essence of thought, shows how these scumbags use no bad tactics, just bad targets out of every pore. And this applies so much to Steve McRae as well. When Steve McRae thinks he's right or he is the righteous one in a situation, he is going to prove his point to himself and to his followers no matter how. If that means to defend relentlessly a convicted rapist based on nothing but the rapist's word, he's gonna do that.
One of the things that I do in my due diligence is I actually talk to people, and I talk to him specifically on this, right? And his best friend. I talked to somebody who known him all his life. So I have other things that I've talked to. By the way, I never mentioned anything in regards to the victim here per se. I never said that, oh, she wanted it. I never said, oh, she, look at the way she was dressed. To me, I believe it was consensual, but that's my opinion, right? I'm allowed to have that opinion. That doesn't make me a rape apologist.
If that would mean attacking a sick child of someone he doesn't like that he thinks has wronged him, he's gonna do it. If that would mean that picturing a trans woman who has been criticizing him, he's gonna do it.
This is Fiona and Laura. Does that look like me as I am now? It doesn't, does it? That looks like me from the start of January last year.
If that means make series and series of videos and streams attacking someone he doesn't like, he's going to do that too. If that means accepting or even manufacturing fraudulent evidence to justify a fundraiser to attack the same person that he doesn't like, he's gonna fucking do that too.
This email was used to ask the community to give money to a cause based on this email being real. This email, to me, looks like it's fake. It looks like it's a 100% fake. But I cannot speak in absolutes because who knows?
If that means to associate himself with known doxers who also make transphobic comments to a trans woman to attack her, he's gonna do that too, to get what he wants. And that is why I can no longer be friends with this guy. I can't. Shitty decision after shitty decision. And when I tried to talk sense to him, and I came to him as a friend, he dismissed me. He didn't hear me. He kept doing it. He makes some bullshit excuse and keeps doing it. And when I criticize him for the way he flipped out on Anti-Ordinary on Facebook and how he went on Twitter and started misrepresenting what has happened, he ignored me. He actually muted me and then made a tweet with instructions of how to criticize him. Now, when I became friends with Steve, he didn't give me his instructions manual telling how I should proceed when I had a criticism to him. And this level of arrogance and petulance that this man has is also very similar to that other creator that I mentioned earlier. Now, I could get into details of each and every single one of these things, but then this video will be like 2 hours long. There are so many issues about what Steve McRae has done in the past 6 months. I think in large part is because he had a community behind him after the Non Sequitur show. He thought he could do whatever the fuck he want and people would stand behind him. Not how it works, dude. Not how it works. There is only so much bullshit people can take until they fuck off. I reached my point where I fucked off. I'm pretty sure other people will reach their point when they will fuck off too. I tried to give him good advice. He doesn't want to listen. I cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. I cannot help someone who doesn't acknowledge that they have a problem. That is the first step. I have my own reputation to care about. I have my own channel to care about. Now, in terms of my responsibility, some of these things I ignored for a reason. I was having a lot of problems last year. I was depressed, and I actually had a stream around November where I talked about this, about how I was depressed because I had so many issues last year. It was a very difficult time for me. The second semester last year in particular was very difficult. I have resolved a lot of the issues that I had. I'm still working on it. There are still some things that I'm working on, but I'm getting better. And now that I got better, I was focusing more on making videos, and I started to pick up on some things. So there is a rape apologetics thing. The way Steve behaved about that issue was appalling. It was horrible.
I talked to him specifically on this, right? And his best friend. I talked to somebody who known him all his life. I believe it was consensual.
Now, why he does that, I don't really know. Maybe he's too proud to admit that he made a mistake. I don't know. The Lillee Jean thing, is he too proud again to admit that he made a mistake? I don't know. I kind of made a mistake, by the way, in the Lillee Jean stuff when I decided to go on a stream without having much background knowledge about what was going on. I took Steve on his word that they were victims of cyberbullying, and I accepted it. After watching Creepshow Art's video, I felt like a fool for taking part in that, because that's not at all what was going on. I just believed in Steve McRae, took him on his word. Big mistake. There was also the situation with Laura. Laura is another fellow YouTuber. She's transgender, and she's very critical of Steve McRae. Now, Steve made a tweet responding to an accusation that he had sexually harassed Laura. That was a disgusting tweet. And in that tweet, he posted a picture of Laura before her transitioning. And I left a comment on that tweet that I feel really embarrassed about. Now, the reason why I did that is because I never thought Steve would do that to a trans woman, because he was my friend. And I thought he would have known better than posting a picture before she had transitioned. I assumed, like a fucking idiot, that maybe she's one of these new trans people who are just trans in label and don't actually transition. That was actually what I thought. After knowing Laura, I felt really bad about doing that. I felt very guilty about doing that. I have already apologized to her, but I want to take this video again to do another public apology for doing that. I'm so sorry, Laura. I know that you have already accepted my apologies, but seriously, I feel really bad about this, and I should have known better. I just believed him, and I fucked up. And again, instead of acknowledging and apologizing, he just made excuses for it. And I also owe an apology to Fiona, because she was the other person on that tweet, and the suggestion there from Steve is that he would have never harassed these women because one is a trans woman, so she's a man, and that's what the picture suggested. And Fiona is an old woman, so he could not possibly harass her. And of course, I know that sexual harassment has much more to do with power than sexual attractions. But I made that tweet jokingly, and I feel disgusted by it. Like, there is not much else I can say. I feel really embarrassed for doing it. And again, I'm really sorry to Fiona and Laura for not speaking up against that and actually going along with it. Now, this channel is about being skeptical, it's about questioning everything. And I failed miserably on that when I was Steve's friend, because I believed him. I said the reasons why I did that. It doesn't excuse it. It was a big mistake, and I believe it costed me in reputation. It probably costed me in growth, and I'll have to deal with that. Now, hopefully, my content will make up for it. Now, I believe I'm getting better at what I'm doing as a content creator. There's still, of course, much more to evolve. Now, I know that my patrons who support me and my subscribers who watch me believe in the quality of this channel, believe in my content, and that's why you support me. I thank you for that. I will not let you down like I did on this time. I learned my lesson, and I'll be more careful with whom I associate myself in the future. Well, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, anything that you want me to clarify, please leave a comment down below and I will respond to you. I've been Sarah Michelle and I will see you next time. Cheers.